How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. The 2019-2020 NBA season will simply be amazing. Now that there's no more Big Three, there's no more super teams, but that doesn't mean there won't be any upsets. Over the course of NBA history, especially in the last 20 years, some of the craziest playoff upsets happen in the first round where the AC knock off a number one, or in the NBA Finals where the underdog shock the world. With that said, let's take a look back at 10 of the greatest NBA playoff upsets since 2000. Before we start, this is likely the last video before the merch website will officially launch in a couple days by early next week. Thank you all so much for all your help and suggestions on voting for the t-shirt designs. I truly appreciate all the feedback and super excited about it. To all my day one fans since 1,000 subs, you guys are amazing. Now on to the video. Number 10, 2011 first round matchup, the Hawks exposing the Magic. The 4 vs 5 matchup might not look like an upset at all, but based on both teams' rosters, Orlando was clearly way better on paper. Being separated by 8 games, Orlando won 52 games, the Hawks 44, led by 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard, who was at the peak of his powers, coming off his best season, averaging 23 and 14. I'm not going to blame Howard at all for his team's failures that season. Did his part, averaged 27 and 15 on 63% shooting, had one of his best playoff series, but his team stunked it up on all levels, having Jameer Nelson, Hedo Turkoglu, Jason Richardson, JJ Redick, Ryan Anderson, Brandon Bass, and Gilbert Arenas. Most of the guys were 2 years removed from the finals. Viewed as contenders, they shot 26% from 3 that whole series. The season before, these two teams matched up in the semis, with the Magic obliterating the Hawks, dismantled them on all cylinders, outscoring Atlanta by a combined 91 points in the sweep, one of the most lopsided series in NBA history. The Magic was supposed to win in an easy 5 games, but the role players failed to show up. Atlanta did not double team Howard at all, while Zaza, of course, got under his skin, forcing Howard with 33 turnovers and only 3 assists those 6 games. With both teams struggling to score, the Magic averaged just 88 points that series. Jamal Crawford took over down the stretch, banked in an insanely crazy 3 in Game 3 to seal the win. The Tragic failed to execute down the stretch, losing by 1 possession in both Game 4 and 6. Howard's career went downhill from there. Number 9, San Antonio beating Dallas in 2010, a 2 vs 7 matchup where the second-seeded Mavs won 55 games, finished 2 games behind the defending champion Lakers. San Antonio won just 50, tied with OKC. With only 7 games separating the 8 playoff teams, the Spurs were viewed as an aging team with father time ticking. Duncan averaged 18 in the regular season, Nowitzki 25 a game, and was the better player at the time. The season before, Dallas convincingly beat San Antonio in an easy 5 games in the first round. Nowitzki did his part after Dallas won Game 1, averaged 27 and 8 in the series, but San Antonio took the next 3 games. After the Mavs had plenty of playoff heartbreaks from previous seasons, San Antonio's George Hill scored 10 of his 21 points in the 4th quarter of Game 4, the X-factor that series. Besides Nowitzki and Caron Butler, everyone on the Mavs stunked it up, where the Spurs were coming off their worst regular season in the Duncan era, made the series win even more impressive, being the 5th-7th seed to win a first-round matchup, the first since the opening round became the best of 7 series starting from 03. An absolute disappointment once again for Dallas, but all these bumps and bruises eventually led them to their goal a year after. Number 8, Golden State shocking Denver 2013 first round of the playoffs, where Steph Curry had his breakout season, was snubbed as an all-star. In a 3 vs 6 matchup, the Nuggets won a franchise best 57 games. Golden State made the postseason for the first time since 2007. Steph was finally fully healthy, was 25 years old at the time. Alongside veteran Jarrett Jack, Klay Thompson was in his 2nd season, Draymond was a rookie coming off the bench, matching up with Ty Lawson, Andre Miller, Wilson Chandler, Iggy, and Kenneth Faried. Before the season, ESPN analysts projected the Dubs to finish 10th place in the West, shockingly traded their franchise player Monte Ellis for an injury-prone Andrew Bogut and an old Richard Jefferson. The team getting to the postseason was already a huge success. As massive underdogs, many believed the Nuggets would win in an easy 5. After Golden State lost Game 1 to Andre Miller's go-ahead game winner, All-Star David Lee went down with a hip injury, but Golden State won Game 2, having 4 starters scoring 20+. Steph had 29 points, 11 dimes in Game 3, while Iggy missed the go-ahead half-court shot for the win. Curry dominated once again, scored 22 in the 3rd quarter of Game 4. His official breakout series went on to win Game 6. Iggy signed with Golden State that following summer, while head coach Mark Jackson was furious, believing the Nuggets were intentionally trying to hurt Steph on purpose. There was also theory that Iggy might have been feeding Jackson info on Denver's plan to injure Curry. George Karl was fired after. Number 7, the Magic eliminating LeBron's Cavs 2009 Eastern Conference Finals finals. Before that series, all eyes were on a LeBron-Kobe finals matchup. The closest year there ever was 2-1, but Orlando stood in James's way. Before the series, many believed the 66-win Cavs would dominate and dismantle the Magic in an easy 5-6 game series, which Orlando wasn't viewed as a legit contender yet. Coming off two tough series against Philly and a KG-less Boston team, Cleveland destroyed both Detroit and Atlanta every game by double digits, had no competition, and James did his part against the Magic, averaged over 38 a game in the 6 games. If it wasn't for his game-winning 3 in Game 2, his team would have gotten swept. His Cavs couldn't stop Orlando's 3-point shooting. Rashad Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, and Michael Petrus were too hot from downtown, and Dwight did whatever he wanted once he got the ball in the paint. The Magic simply ruined everybody's finals wishes. Number 6, the Hornets sweeping the Heat in the first round of the 2001 playoffs in the 3-6 matchup. Miami had a deeper team with Eddie Jones, Alonzo Mourning, Bruce Bowen, Tim Hardaway, but the Heat got destroyed all 3 games, getting blown out in humiliating fashion by 26 in both games 1 and 2. New Orleans closed out game 3 winning by 15, led by the brilliance of Jamal Mashburn and young Baron Davis, the ugliest and most embarrassing playoff series in Miami Heat history. Number 5, Dallas shocking Miami in the 2011 finals. The Heat were a -180 favorite to win that series, had more star power and was the younger team. Dallas was an aging veteran squad, some guys were on their last legs, while Wade and James were both arguably top 3 players in the game, but it was the combination of Rick Carlisle's coaching genius, Nowitzki stepping up, Jason Terry and Jason Kidd hitting big time shots, and LeBron melting at the same time. After Miami easily won Game 1, having a 15-point lead with 6.5 minutes to go in Game 2, blowing that game away, and losing Games 4 and 5 in heartbreaking fashion, both of them very winnable close games down the stretch, the Mavs had the 7th biggest chance to win it all before the season started, got the job done. Not to mention Dallas sweeping the Lakers in the semis that same year was just as big of an upset. Kobe also wasn't 100% healthy those playoffs, and Gasol was absolutely soft that series. I'll put that with the Heat series all in one, since Dallas winning the 2011 title was an absolute shocker. Dirk Nowitzki's legacy was pretty much cemented after that. Number 4, Cleveland beating Golden State, coming back down 3-1 against the Dubs 2016 finals. Because of Golden State's dominance, winning 73 games, setting a regular season record, battled a grueling series, coming back 3-1 themselves to OKC. The Dubs were a -210 favorite. On the verge to glory, Draymond's suspension cost them dearly. Despite LeBron and Kyrie's brilliance, they won 57 games in the weaker Eastern Conference, a 16-game difference. After Game 4, James and Irving both went off. Harrison Barnes couldn't buy a basket. Festus Ezeli was atrocious in Game 7. Andrew Bogut got hurt in Game 5, and Curry had his worst performance, was mentally fatigued. Iguodala had back injuries, amounting to the biggest comeback in finals history. Number 3, Detroit shocking the world, ending the Kobe Shaq Laker era in the 2004 finals. LA was a heavy -550 favorite according to OddChart. That was even more of a favorite than San Antonio over Cleveland in 07. Kobe and Shaq had their ways in the finals in previous years from 2000 to 02, but their hatred was too deep for both of them to be on the same page. The Pistons refused to double team Shaq. Kobe had arguably the worst moment of his career, missing many jumpers, shot just 38% from the field. Malone got hurt in Game 4. Peyton was too old and slow for build-ups, and LA didn't have the depth, was held to under 82 points for the series. Nobody gave the Pistons a real chance. One of the biggest stunners in NBA history, an epic collapse by the old Lakers. After beating San Antonio and Minnesota without home court advantage the previous 2 rounds, Detroit seemed to be an easy win after they upsetted the first-seeded Pacers, but their defense was absolutely incredible. Number 2, 2011 first round, Memphis San Antonio in an 8-1 matchup, viewed as legit contenders after finishing with a 61-21 record, 15 games better than the 46-win Memphis team. The Grizz haven't even won a single playoff game before Game 1 of that series, being 0-12 all time, and went 16-25 on the road in the regular season, but stole Game 1 thanks to Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol's 49 combined points. Zebo put up over 21 and 9 the whole series, bulldozed Tim Duncan, Matt Bonner, and Thiago Splitter. Duncan averaged under 13 a game, looked slow and old, having one of his worst statistical seasons, up 3-1, down 3 with under 2 seconds. In Game 5, Gary Neal forced OT with a crazy 3, started off elimination for the Spurs, but Randolph answered with 31 and 11 in Game 6, closing out with ease. Everybody thought that was the end of the Spurs dynasty, and it might have been if they didn't trade for Kawhi Leonard a few months after in the 2011 draft. Number 1, the We Believe Warriors shocking the entire world, eliminating the 67-win Mavs team. Golden State was the perfect matchup for Dallas in 2007. Under head coach Don Nelson, who coached the Mavs in the early to mid 2000s, knew their game plan and how to defend Dirk. Many believe this series was the biggest upset all time, with the Dubs getting back to the postseason for the first time since '94. The franchise was viewed as a laughingstock in the mid 2000s. Nelly's up-tempo style was too much and caught Dallas by surprise, with prime Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, Jason Richardson, young Monte Ellis, and veteran Al Harrington pushing the pace, running and draining jumpers. Their play style is very similar to the Harden CP3 Rocket era. Baron dropped 33, 8, and 14 in Game 1. The small ball lineup frustrated Eric Dampier and Dirk. Head coach Avery Johnson failed to make adjustments. In the year Dallas was supposed to heavily contend for a title, after losing in the finals the previous season in painful fashion, the eventual MVP won a pathetic 2 of 13 8-point performance in Game 6, outplayed by Baron Davis and Steven Jackson the whole series. Combined with the roaring crowd, Golden State won 3 home games, taking the series in 6, being the third AC to knock off number 1. The Warriors' first best of 7 series win in 31 years. Dallas was on the wrong side of history, becoming the first team to win at least 65 games to not win a playoff series the same year. A few weeks before the series, it appeared Golden State was likely going to miss the playoffs, winning its final 5 regular season games to edge out the Clippers by 2 games for the 8th spot. One of the most unique, shocking, and crazy moments in NBA history. Every NBA fan who was watching firsthand will never forget. I didn't mention the 2012 Sixers Bulls series. In an 8 vs 1 matchup, after Rose's injury in Game 1, it proved how vital he was because the team could not score or generate any offense without him, losing in 6. And the Celtic Cavs in 2010, I wouldn't consider it an upset at all. The fact that nobody mentions those same Celtics also easily beating Orlando in the conference finals, no one said that was an upset. Boston could have easily swept Orlando, or the fact that they were a win away twice from capturing their second title in 3 years, only falling to Kobe's Lakers. Even though they only won 50 regular season games, they saved their energy for the playoffs and was still as dangerous as any team in the league back then, especially with a healthy Garnett. Let me know which was the craziest NBA playoff series upset you have ever experienced. Thank you so much for watching this video. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more great stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.